What's going on, everyone? Welcome back along to the channel and welcome back along to Rugby 18. Now, one thing that gets asked quite a lot in the comments and other places is about ratings. Certain teams, certain players especially in new games like this, games that a lot of people don't have access to know just how realistic ratings may or may not be. So today is going to be part one of a little mini series, you could call it, I guess, of the competitions in Rugby 18, how the teams rate and how the players rate. So we're going through competition by competition. We'll kick things off here today with the Aviva Premiership and go through the teams in there, have a look at their 35 generally man squad, and go through each video. We'll look at the Aviva Premiership, obviously today. We'll be looking at the Pro 14, the Top 14. We also have the international teams as well. And I don't think I'm missing anyone out. That is just the four main competitions. We have a check up before we kick things off. But that's what we're going to be doing. Having a look at who is in the squads. Because generally, a lot of teams have bigger squads than just a 30-odd player roster, because there's so many injuries, so many international call-ups, duties, things like that. You've got to have such a massive squad. So, with that in mind, we will of course have a look at the sides and the players in these teams. Let me know if you want to see Pro D2 as well. We can throw that into the mix as well. Before today, we're going to be having a look at the Aviva Premiership, starting off alphabetical order as we do with Bath Rugby. 74 rated on the game as a team. Let's see who's in their squad. Okay, so here is the Bath squad, and we'll just have a quick look through because we've got, I think, 11 teams to have a look through as well. So, Kat, Benny, and Thomas are their front rower. They have Ills and Charteris in their second row. Falatel, Lowe, and Mercer are their back row. Fortuli'i, Priestland, they run things at 9 and 10. Then they have Anthony Watson on the left wing, Joseph in inside centre, Max Clark at outside centre, a new name, a youngster, just 22 years old for Bath. Matty Banners, of course, on the right, and Tom Homer at fullback. So that is their starting 15 by default in the game. And of course, without the use of modding and things like that in this game, it's not so easy to look at the teams and mix things up to the way you want to play, which is a bit of a shame. You kind of got to do it before the matches and that, and so it's a bit of an odd kind of backwards way to do things. But into their reserves, we've got the 23 for the match day squad going through there. And that's the other thing that's a bit annoying. It's a game that relies on the licensed players because there isn't no unlicensed players and there isn't the ability to create. Like I just said, guys like this man, Tom Ellis, no picture. You know, wouldn't you just have a picture? Make sure everyone has a graphic, because if he is in the starting lineup, when that lineup comes out, he's not going to have a picture to show for the starting squad. So that's a bit of an oversight. That's just one of those little things that can make a bit of a difference to how a game goes. So that is a 23. They've also got another 12 or so players sitting on the bench here. I mean, Kane Palmer Newport is a man who used to be a regular starter a few years ago from the, of course, Rugby Challenge days. And, of course, Dave Atwood sitting on the bench. Like, I would definitely have Dave Atwood, I thought, in your starting side. Plenty of others. Oh, Sinisa Rocker Daguni. So, that's another surprise. And only 74 rated is another one. So, I kind of glossed over the ratings of players. I just went for the names in this Bath team. But 74 for Rocker Daguni, I think, is pretty harsh. Will Homer down there, and rounds out with Michael Van Vuren. So that is the Bath team. I didn't really look at ratings, but there's a few on the 80s. I mean, Toby Falatel at 91. He is a key player in this team. But no real big, oh, there's a couple. Anthony Watson, Jonathan Joseph, 91, 92. But not much else there for Bath. Let's move on. We've got a lot to get through, so next team. Next up is the Exeter Chiefs. Let's see who's in their squad. They are 75 rated, so one higher than Bath. So that is interesting. Of course, a team that's been pretty good in recent years as well. So let's see who they've got. Okay, so here is the Exeter Chiefs side. Thomas Francis, Calvin Dickey, and Rimmer are their front row. Tom Francis here, 80 rated, very, very good. Don Armand, 80 rated as well. Not too many huge ratings. I mean, Julian Salvi, I'm surprised he's rated only 71, but a 32-year-old. I thought he'd be a bit better than that. Matt Kevsich as well, only 67. That's quite low. Moving into their back line, I mean, Stinks is only 79, but it's Jack Knoll who is 92 rated. He is by far the big man in this side. And the rest of the side, look at that, nothing over the 70s for the likes of Devoto, Campagnaro, Woodburn, and Bodley at the back, 65 only. That's pretty low. What about on the bench? Well, they got Henry Slade on the bench for a start, which is someone you'd put into that starting team. 84 rated for sure. This is just by default, so I haven't changed anything. This is straight out of the box, as you might call it. Digital games these days, there is no boxes. But, you know, I would have put Henry Slade straight in there. Ben Moon, 71 rated front rower. Dave Dennis, former Australian and Wallaby, only 66 rated. Fairly low. Greg Holmes, another Australian, a bit older now, 71. I can understand that. Who else you got? No one. Phil Dolman, a name that comes to mind. Stu Townsend. And that's it. Jack Innit at the back. So, well, at the bottom, I should say, of the list. So, oh, the Exeter Chiefs. Interesting squad. No, well, no, not as many big stars as like a Bath. Even Bath had a lot more players in the 80s. But overall, Exeter Chiefs still rated one higher. You can see on the top left side there, the offense and defense ratings and how they match that up to give them an overall rating of 75. So that is the Exeter Chiefs. Let's move on. Okay, third team in our little look at the Aviva Premiership is Gloucester Rugby Football Club Limited. In other words, some may call them Gloucester. Okay, so Gloucester is an overall 71 rated side, and they start off pretty well too, with Ruskin an 81 rated player. Richard Hibbert only 76. I mean, quite a lot of players here who, you know, international level. 76 with John Afoa, older player now as well. Jeremy Thrush, the New Zealand, 79. They're probably pretty fair ratings, I'd say. Ross Moriarty, wow, 91. So they're holding him in very high regard here as the young Welshman, Ross Moriarty. We've got Jacob Rowan, Ben Morgan sitting on a 78. And let's go through Tom Marshall. We've got Billy Burns, 82 rated. That's not too bad for young Billy. Johnny May in 87. Oh, so they've put him quite a bit lower than Jack Knoll there. Scott Simmons. What else you got? Sharples and Jason Woodward, former Hurricane, and of course former Rebel as well from Super Rugby. Just 75. That's quite low for a player that could be or have been quite a good player as well. Also on their bench, let's go a few 70s. Oh, Motu Matu. Okay, 69. 30-year-old. I mean, he was a good player before he left, and he's fallen away a bit now, hasn't he? Just 69 rated here. Willie Hines, another one, 67. Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm not a huge fan of Willie Hines. Moving onto their bench, Billy Twelvetrees. What a fall from grace Billy Twelvetrees has had from years gone by when he was such a big-name player. 75 rated, though, still right up there. I mean, you can see why this team, David Halafanua, 30 years old, 65. You can see why they're 71 overall rated, can't you? No real big names. Henry Trinder, another one who was once up there with the top rank, 68 now as well. Through their side, Tom Denton at the bottom. You can see why they're 71 rated, can't you? Gloucester, not the best team in the world. Quite a few low ratings as well. Let's go on to the next team. Okay, so we crack into H now with Harlequins. They're 73 rated overall, so it was a big cluster here of the low to mid-70s Harlequins, so up a couple from what we saw last from Gloucester. Okay, so we start off with a few more bigger names here in the Harlequin side of Joe Marler and Kyle Sinclair lining up on both sides of the front row. Dave Ward in between, not quite as good, but 88 and 89 kicks us off well here for Harlequins. James Horwell second there, 85, with Charlie Matthews, 82 as well. Another big rating. Chris Robshaw, an 80. Jack Clifford, an 80 as well. This is a very, very good pack by Harlequins, and they're only at 73. You compare this to Gloucester or even Exeter, and this is a lot better side. James Chisholm at number 8, 74 as well. Danny Kerr, wow, Danny Kerr only a 75. I think that's a bit light. Danny Kerr can be an electric little player as well. Jackson at fly half at 82, not bad. Visser in 85, the Scotsman on the wing. We've got Joe Marchant at 75 in centre. Jamie Roberts here, oh, only 76. That is quite low. He's almost a legend of the game, isn't he? But just a 76, I would have put him near the 80s. Marlon Yard is 77. And Mike Brown cracks the 82. So there's a big gap between the players in the low 80s and the mid 80s to a 90. Into the reserves, we've got a few in the 70s. Oh, it's dropping down pretty fast here. Not much. This is what kills the ratings. Adam Jones is still there. 68 too. Fair play to the old man. He's still doing well. A love for a love for. Oh, what could have been for the former Super Rugby player in Australia. I think there's a Waratahs too that he was with. Could have been so much more there as well. He's fallen away just a 58. That's a pretty dreadful rating. Maybe we could pick him up in the career mode. I'd say it'd be pretty cheap as well. A name that you know, a loafer. What's his speed? Getting used to these icons of what one is actual speed. I think it's the far right, the man running. Makes sense, doesn't it? 82, not too bad. Charlie Walker, that was a 94, and he's only 67 rated. Let's move on, though, because we don't want to spend too much time here. Getting to the bottom of their list here, nothing of note in this Harlequins bench or the reserves. That's where they fall away. Great first team, though. Their starting 15 looks very, very strong. Next up are the Leicester Tigers, 76 rated, so we get a big jump up now for the Tigers. Let's see here where they get that. I expect a lot better bench than we've seen from Harlequins. Okay, so just like Harlequins, it kicks off really, really well. Dan Cole and Alice Genge is lining up with a 91 and an 88. What is a bit of a surprise here, though, is it doesn't actually tell you the nationality of any of these players. So you can get a bit of a more breakdown as to offense, defense there for the rating, physical, technical on the top left here, which I'm changing, backs, forward, substitutes. But what we know Dan Cole is English, but it doesn't actually say anywhere that what their nationality is, which is very, very interesting. But a very good front row, especially the two props. Second row not so strong, mid-70s, and even Ryan in low 70s as well. Into the back row, this is terrible. Mike Williams, Brendan O'Connor, only picking up just either side of 70. Ben Young's strong at 9, alongside George Ford. This is where they excel. 9 and 10 and 83 and a 90. Then it's bad news, isn't it? 69. Are you seeing what I'm seeing here? Manu Tuilangi is 69. That is horrifically harsh. Now, I'm not the biggest supporter or fan of Manu Tuilangi, but goodness me, 69? 69, really? That is terrible. Vainu, outside him, I mean, I'd probably go with a Tuilangi in my squad before Vainu, and he's 71 rated. Wow, that's a surprise. Matt Tate, 68 at the back. Wow, I mean, he's been around a few bob years, hasn't he? We've got to be better on their bench. Mulipula's still there, 69. What else they got? More 60s. John O'Kita, 61. Kaloa Mafoni is there, 65. Matt Tamua, what? A 58! Oh, the Leicester Tigers have been absolutely shafted here. 58 for Matt Tamua. You've got to be joking me. Now, I haven't been harsh on ratings because there's been a couple here that have been either side of iffy, but I mean, Tuilangi is 69 and Tamua at 58. I mean, really, come on. Matt Tamua must be doing absolutely terribly. I mean, to be in the reserves, he's going to be doing pretty badly as well. But to be rated lower than John O'Kito, I mean, that is terrible. Ed Slater's on the bench. He's 77, not too bad. Not much. Where is this? Here we go. We've got Mike Fitzgerald, the second rower, the Irishman, if I'm not mistaken. 74, which boosts it up a bit, but I mean, they're not that great at the reserves bench either. I don't know where that rating comes from, but this is a bit silly, isn't it? I mean, Matt Tamua, 58? That is a surprise. That is a real surprise alongside Tuilangi. Leicester Tigers, fans of the Leicester Tigers, let me know if you think that is accurate. That's what I want to know. What do you guys think if these ratings are accurate? But that is really, really surprising to see Matty Tamua that low. Let's move on that bombshell. Okay, so following that big high, what was it, 76 for the Leicester Tigers, we move on to London Irish. So, 68. Long way down from the 76 we were just at. So I'm not putting up too much hope of seeing any superstars in this London Irish squad with great ratings. Okay, so it seems to be that teams are getting pretty generous ratings to their front rows especially. We've got Reed and Solo sitting at an 86 and an 87. Outside those front rowers, though, a good start there with a couple in the 80s, but it drops off pretty quick, doesn't it? You got Lloyd, Palu at 77 and a 69. Blair Cowan, 69 as well. Average ratings here, 67, 69 for their back row completely. Scrum half, Scott Steele is 64. Gets even worse. Nothing going on here. Tikula Tuma. Well, that's a bit of a... No, that's fair, I think. I think Tikula Tuma, I can fairly say 76 is not a bad rating for him. Tom Bell out there, the 75. Not too bad. They got a few average players, but there's no big stars in that team at all. In that starting team, I should say. We're not into the backs yet, into the reserves. Here we go. Ollie Hoskins kicks us off. 74. That's not too bad either for the prop. A couple of 70s. That's not too bad. James Marshall, 66. Sits there. Trevanis at 61. I mean, I know he's getting on, but he's kind of an iconic Islander of rugby, isn't he? He's kind of done everything. He's been a leader for that team. Brendan McKibben, 60. I mean, Australians are getting shafted here, aren't they? They are getting absolutely shafted. Another surprise, I'd give him a mid-70s if I was going to rate. I would have given Matt Samua at least around an 80, 82 maybe, something like that. And Tuolangi the same, 84, 85 possibly. You maybe drop them 5 less than that, but nowhere near where they were. Hang on, we've got a bit of a spasm there. Mike Coleman there just about skipped him out. Pitches Duplessis. I mean, there's nothing happening here, is there? Topsy Ojo, only a 63. Alex Lewington, Ben Frank. Oh, come on, this is silly now. Ben Franks is 66. One of the best front rowers in world rugby. I know he's older, but good God. I mean, if you're picking this team, Ben Franks would be one of the first names, surely. A great prop. How is he only 66 rated? Now, before he left to win overseas, from what you're seeing on the international stage, I know it's a couple of 3 years ago now, but the fact is you would give him at least a high 80s. He was that good of a player. It's hard to believe he's fallen down that far to just be a 66. That is insane. Insane. I know there's probably a lot of players you guys are seeing in here as well that, from your perspective, you'd know are a lot better than possibly here. I haven't seen anyone I think is overrated so far. Ben Meehan, a young player, a young Australian scrum half, 54. I mean, he never got the chance to shine, but, I mean, overseas players seem to have really, I've gone too far, have seemed to have really got kicked in the guts here, and, well, we might as well look at this here. Front rowers are getting an absolute heyday here. London Irish complete. Some more stunners out of this one. Okay, so we're in the second half of the teams down. Newcastle Falcons are next. They've bumped up nicely to a 72 overall rated. Let's see what they've got to offer. Okay, so again, they kick things off nicely. John Welsh with an 80 rated on the loose head side of the front row. Cooper and Lockwood sit alongside him, mid-70s. Not bad. Callum Green gets an 82 and a very high raised chin as well. But the rest of their pack is middle of the road. Decent, not bad, but not top of the road either, with a 75, 75, 75 and a 67. That poorly rounds things out for an aging Ali Hogg. Sanotti at scrum half, really? No, I'm not too sure about Sanotti's time at scrum half, but 70 rated, though, is a fair representation of him. Obviously developed this game quite a lot in the Northern Hemisphere as well. Joel Hodgson sits outside him, the 25-year-old, 78 rated. That's not too bad, but oh, it's Nicky Conover. I mean, this guy's like a god. He is really like one of the most iconic, I think, Aviva Premiership players, of course. I remember his time massively with the Leicester Tigers. I'm pretty sure it was with them. He's still 91 rated, and he's 33 years old. His speed is still 100. Yeah, good on him. Possibly one of the first players you'd say might be getting a bit overrated. He's not top of the line world class. I mean, that sort of rating is looking like the world's best in the 90s. Is he quite there? That's a bit of an argument you can make. Chris Harris, outside him, well, in the middle of the midfield, you should say. Gonover on the left wing. Sakino, decent player, 78 rated. The Argentinian, not too bad. Sean Robinson, 76. And Alex Tate How is he still under 30? Sits with a 67. Into their reserves, mid-70s going on here, some 60s. Oh, we got Aguja there on the wing, another Argentinian, 66. Oh, 80 speed though, which isn't too bad. Good little player. I'm looking at this from two perspectives here. It's good to see the ratings, but as you probably all guessed, we're going to be starting a career mode. That's a given. I'm looking for players who are a bit underrated than what they should be. Players that we know that we can build a team around. I'm looking at the likes of Aguja here. Good pace, only 66 rated. You'd think you could put him in on a budget as well if you needed to. Dave Wilson, more 70s, a lot more 70s, 60s. A good, I think this is quite a good, solid team. Toby Flood, only 74. No, that's probably not too bad. That's actually, no, that's probably pretty fair for Mr. Flood. It's a good all-round team, this, for the Falcons. They've done nicely there with that one. Not too many big surprises here. Nicky Gonover there, probably the pick of their players. You got to say, a couple in there that could be decent pickups for a career mode. I'm watching, and if you're following this video, now you know. Inside scoop, eh? A 73 rating comes the way of the Northampton Saints, or Northampton Rugby Football Club Limited. Why they have to use a business name, I'm not sure, but the Saints are next in line. And you've got to say this Northampton Saints team must have a dreadful bench in reserves because their forward pack looks amazing. Kempisi Matafu, 89 rating for the 32-year-old. Wow. Dylan Hartley, yeah, 88. I think he definitely has to class himself up there as one of the better players in World Rugby. Some may disagree, he's loved and he's hated, but I can understand why they'd give him that rating. Matafu? I'm not so sure. I mean, 89, that is really, really good as well. Courtney Laws, 96. That's fair. I'm a big fan of what Courtney Laws does. Very physical, very big, good player as well. Day outside him is 76, but it's Tom Wood with an 86 that leads the way. Tamana Harrison at number 8, 76. Another young up-and-coming player. Well, 25 now, not so young in rugby terms. Nick Groom, the South African, sits at scrum half, 69. That's average. Stephen Myler, I think that's fair. Stephen Myler's a really underrated player overall, and good to see him getting a decent rating of 80. Wow, they've still given George North a 94. Let me know, rugby fans. Do you think that's a fair rating for George North? Is he the player of, I don't know, a good, take your pick, yesteryear? You know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, is he as good as then? Let me know what your thoughts are on that. So even 4 years ago, you could say. Outside him, we have some 70s. Luther Burrell, just 75. Nafitua Tavaki, 66. Surely got speed, yes, 88, but he loses it out through his kicking game, which is bizarre. Actually, that's a good point, actually. Now I'm thinking about it. These high-rated props, they've got just as good kicking. I mean, come on. Kempisi Matafu, 88 kicking. Come on. That's kicking power. The power is the one with the ball in the air. I think accuracy is the one where he's kicking off the tee. If you're looking at the pictures there along the top of the stats. But come on. Courtney Laws, 89 and 84. Oh, that is insane. That's where the ratings come from. That is where they come from. To a 96 rated player, albeit a forward, you've got to get that rating up somehow, and I guess you just boost kicking. That's a bit of a flaw. That's a bit of a flaw. We were already up to Ben Foden, 69. I mean, how silly this is that Courtney Laws is a better overall kicker than Ben Foden. A fullback who, as fullbacks do, you'd expect kicks for touch a lot and things like that. Don't give it to Foden. Let's just stick Laws back there to keep him in tow. Lawsy can do the kicking to touch. If we've got a long-range penalty, give it to Lawsy. It's all right. He'll do it. Bit odd, isn't it? Bit odd. Let's see the bench. Kieran Brooks, 73. I mean, he's another one that could be a good pickup for a career mode. 70, though, could be possibly a bit high for an early team, starting team like that. Jamesy Fish is sitting in there, 70s, 70s, dropping into the 60s now. Wow, we are harshly dropping into the 60s. Tuala, the fullback, Island fullback, coming where he's from, Tonga? correct me if I'm wrong. 66 rated. Few island players here, actually. 73. Oh, poor old Ken PC. I mean, he was a superstar for the Saints team. Just 66 rated now. He's fallen down the pecking order a little bit, and that is the Northampton Saints team. Interesting side, but you find a bit of a flaw there with the stats and kicking, don't you? But overall, that's not too bad, except for Campisi Matfu. A bit odd, let's be fair. A little bit odd. Next up, with a nice and even 70 rating, is the Sale Sharks, or the Manchester Sale Rugby Club Limited. Business hat, tip it. Okay, so what do the Sale Sharks have to offer us here? We got Ross Harrison, wow, 81 rating. I mean, this is getting a bit silly now. These props are all amazing. A couple here in the 70s, but I mean, their pack doesn't have much going for it until you get down to Josh Strauss, the Scottish enforcer. Normally at number 8, but they've got TJ Ioane sitting at 7 and Josh Beaumont. That'll be why they've got Strauss at 6. That is a very strong back row. But you go, these two just 71 rated. Thought we might give them a bit more. James O'Connor, wow, God. I seen the rating, then I seen the hair. And it was like, oh, that's garish. But the rating isn't much better either. James O'Connor just with a 73. It's not very much for a man of his ability. Another Scotsman here, Byron McGeegan, is 76 for him. A solid player. Their team really doesn't have much in the way of superstars. You'd expect James O'Connor, you know, as much as I'm not his biggest fan, he's a bit of a wild child sort of rugby player or sportsman, isn't he? But still, he's a talented player. And you've got to give him at least in the 80s. I would give him anyway. Into their bench, another front row with amazing stats. Rob Webber, 78. Not much for the rest of them, though. 70s, 60s as they fall down the pecking order. Anyone of note here? Johnny Liotto, I mean, he's about 100 years old, isn't he? 33. He must have left to Sale years ago. He's like a stalwart over there now. 67 rated. Still not too bad for the old man. Through the rest of their side, oh, they've only got 34 players. That's a bit strange. They're missing one. Interesting to see if any players that have been playing for these teams regularly are actually missing from the rosters as well. But it's the Sale Sharks, 70 rated overall. Solid team. Alrighty, just 3 teams now to go to look at in the Aviva Premiership, and it is the Saracens we have next up. They've got a nice easy name, Saracens Limited. 80 rated though. They are by far the best team we've seen so far. 4 points clear, I think, of the next best, which was 76. So, big difference there. Let's see who they've got, though, to get such a good rating. Okay, so as expected, the front row is ridiculously good. Some of the MSV players are getting a bit of a raw old strap here from this game from Rugby 18. Marco Vunipula, 97. I mean, yeah, he's a good player, but 97 is almost maxed. And I mean, kicking are a stat in this game. 97 rated. That's right, he's 81 and 87 accuracy and power. He is a monster with the boots. I kind of find that one hard to justify. I would accept him being near a 90, but 97? Jamie George at 91? I could let that slide. He's a decent young player, but a hooker, 91 rated. I mean, what's Dane Coles is the question when you compare those kinds of players. Interesting. Vincent Koch is a really good player. South African, of course. I thought he was one of the great up-and-comers of Springbok Rugby a couple of years ago. He still picks up at 81, which is really good. But, you know, you'd kind of put him pretty close to a Vunipula sort of player on just their raw ability and what they do on the field. I mean, Marco Vunipula's not going to streak down the sideline and school you a try, is he? He does his cool rolls well, and he's good at cleaning up breakdowns and getting around the field as well, breaking tackles. But, I mean, 97? A bit strange. Maro Atolje, no surprise here whatsoever that Atolje is so highly rated, because he's highly rated around World Rugby. And it's no mistake that he's really highly rated on this game. 95 puts him up there with the world's elite. Not as good as Marco Vunipula though, but he is right up there as one of the best. You've got to say that is justly fair to be up at that level. George Cruz sits alongside him on a 93. Yeah, that's fair enough. Again, you got 2 of the best second rowers in Northern Hemisphere rugby as well. So they're right up there, but kind of, you got to wonder about balancing here when you've got a Marco Vunipula at 97, all these forwards in the 90s. Yet what do the backs manage as well? But we'll get to them in a second. Rhodes lets it drop off a bit down to an 80. But then it's Will Fraser who really kicks it big time with a 68 before it is the Vunipola combo completion of Billy, who gets a 91. I mean, he's no Marco, is he? He's just no Marco. Outside that in the backline, we've got Marcelo Bosch, another Argentinian, a 71 rated, not too bad. But look at this. Owen Farrell versus Marco Vunipola. Let's compare, shall we? Passing. 87 to 8. Marco is a better passer than Owen. What's that second one? I think that... No, I can't remember. Hang on, bear with me. Right, no, not that one. Ball handling is the second one. So we'll probably come back to that. Ball handling, 93 to... Marco's a better ball handler. Scrummaging, wow, no question there. Marco, 99 to Owen. Then we have agility. I remember 84 to... Okay, so Owen just snips away from Marco there with agility. Kicking, yeah, both go to Owen. Fitness, Owen as well. Tackling, oh, Owen Farrell just pips it by 1 point. But that one I think is power. It is impact. Similar sort of thing. It is Marco with 100, Blitzism 90 for Owen Farrell. And then it is finally speed, which, let's be fair, you'd expect Farrell to absolutely smoke Vunipola in a foot race, but it's pretty close. Only 7 points away. So there you go. Logic. How about that? Let's move on through this team. Sean Maitland, 90 rating. I mean, you hardly say he's a former New Zealander, do you? Because he's been over there so long now with Scotland and his Glasgow Warriors as well, wasn't he, before he moved to the Saracens. Great player, just rating, great fitness as well, which is something the career mode players will need, because fitness is a real killer in this game. Further on, Duncan Taylor, another Scotsman, 82. Nick Tompkins, 76. Big fall away there. Chris Wiles, the American, 68 with Alex Good. Oh, Alex Good only gets a 68 as well, fullback. Interesting there from the selections there. More 89s. Oh, it's Lazolski. I always mess up his name when I first say it. It's one of those ones you got to say regularly or else you forget how to say it. 89 Raiders. Schulk Brits, 74. Yeah, he's a good player as well. Schulk Berger is there, 72. I mean, does he ever grow old, that man? He just seems to keep going forever. Richard Wigglesworth, 64. Pretty grim there for the Wiggle. Brad Barrett, another player falling from a massive grace. He is 76 rated. Figalo, is that the Argentinian prop? I think it is. One Figalo, he's 29 only. I thought he was a bit older than that. 70 rated still. Decent little player. So a very strong bench here. Well, okay, not anymore. Mark Ellery, 64. Nathan Earl, nothing. Oh, Will, yeah, here we go. It's the big mug himself, Will Skelton, playing for the Saracens, 76. I won't disagree with that. In fact, I think it's probably a bit too high. But as you all know, I am no fan of Will Skelton. Henry Taylor, Thompson Stringer, and Matt Hankin rounded out with a couple of crappy ones at the bottom. Well, that wraps up the Saracens team. Okay, the last couple here. Wasps are next up, 76 on their overall rating. Not a Saracens by any stretch, but still a good side. Where did they get it? Let me guess. In the props? Well, I had to go be a smart dick, didn't I? And their props are actually rubbish. Harrison Mullen, 75 and 72. They still get a 80 out of Ashley Johnson. Didn't he used to be a flanker? Didn't he used to be a flanker? Wow. That shows you how long it's been since I've really followed too much in the Northern Hemisphere. Wow. If that's the same guy, wow. Interesting. Joe Launchbury, of course, big man, 94 rated, fair call. Matt Simmons, former chief as well, 77 rated. James Haskell, oh, he might be a bit angry. He's only got an 89. Big one here, Nathan Hughes with an 85. Simpsons at scrum half, Jimmy Gopeth. Well, he looks a bit concerned in his photo, doesn't he? But an 82 rating is pretty good for Jimmy. He's a good player, solid player. Doesn't do much wrong, just gets the job done. Christian Wade, only a 70. But he's got good speed, 96 overall on the far right side there. Elliot Daly, yeah, I thought he would be big. Daly is a versatile and good player. 95, you got to say he can just about do it all. But when he's 82 scrummaging, is that really fair? Is that really fair? Kyle Eastman, 73. Okay, decent player as well. Josh Bassett, 70. Rob Miller is 66. Tom Taylor, 77. Danny Cipriani's on the bench, 77 as well. Marty Moore, he's been eclipsed by Jimmy Gopperth, hasn't he, Danny Cipriani, from the glory days he had. He's still only 29. Well, I thought he was a bit older than that as well. The bench isn't anything fantastic, is it? Guy Armitage, only 63. Only 63. What else we got here? A few 70s. We got a decent reserves here. Billy LaRue. Wow, come on. Billy LaRue, 60. Now, I do not. I mean, this is going to be great for the career mode because Billy LaRue, yeah, we could sign him up. 60, definitely. He's about one of the worst players on the game. I mean, Craig Hampson is only slightly worse than Billy LaRue. What? No way. Now, Billy LaRue hasn't left South African rugby, Super Rugby, International Rugby for that long. I mean, there's no way he's 60. No way at all. I mean, he's worse than Paul Doran-Jones. Who? Exactly. A prop. That is ridiculous. But I'm keeping my eye on him because I want Billy LaRue in the career mode. That's Wasps, and I mean, wow. Wow. LaRue, he's nowhere near that bad. Goodness me. Okay, so it is the last team in the Aviva Premiership. Hope this hasn't gone on too long, but I've been rambling a bit about the sides and the players and things like that, so I hope you've all enjoyed this little ramble on with a look at the Aviva Premiership teams and players. But it's the Worcester Warriors. Let's take a look. Right, so we've seen them 69 rated, which gives you suspicions of where their superstar is going to come from. It's not in the front row this time at all, but they do have Will Spencer in the second row, who's picked up an 81 rating, which is a pretty generous one as well, with Donica O'Callaghan next to him, only 79. So I know he's a lot older, okay, 13 years older, I know, but the experience of an O'Callaghan has to be massive as well. Into their back row, it's pretty average, isn't it? Even Cox is down in the 60s, it's that bad. But they do get it all from this man, Francois Hogard. I'm a big fan of Francois Hogard. I think he's one of the greatest little players around. 91, I definitely think he is rated there. Great player, and good to see him highly rated and recognised on the game for the Warriors as well. Ryan Mills sits in 85 as well. That's a decent rating to have outside him from a young player like that. Perry Humphries is 72. Oh, here, Ben Teo. Wow. Wow. They have really put it on Ben Teo here. 96. Wow, and what's his kicking rating? He gets a mid-80s and a low 80s for kicking as well. Ben Teo, again, another highly regarded English player. 96 though. I mean, he was really good this season, so you got to say he's probably nearly justified that as well. Oliver, 72, nothing much there. Bryce Heen, well, not much more than a regional NPC player here. A 74, I think, is a very, very generous rating to a Bryce Heen. When we just saw, who was it on the last page? Billy LaRue have a 60 and Bryce Heen was 74? That's laughable. That's a joke. That is a real joke. Let's have a look through their reserves. Good base here of 70s. Yeah, good bench as well. We go through into the reserves. Anyone to note here? Michael Dowsett at the scrum half, the young Australian. It is 64. He's better than Billy LaRue as well. I mean, we could go on as well, couldn't we? Couple more to go. Max Stelling. That is it for the Worcester Warriors. A decent, I think, that rating is nicely boosted by the fact that there's not too much complete rubbish in that team, apart from this guy. Aside from him, it's a pretty good all-round either side of the 70s for the core of the squad, and a big boost for the superstars as well. But that is it for a look at the Aviva Premiership sides in Rugby 18. We've had a look at all the teams, their ratings, the players, and their ratings, and their specific skills. If you're a fan of the top 14, the Pro 14, international sides as well, do not fear, we will be covering them in the next couple of episodes of this little mini-series, or whatever I'm going to call it here. So if you're waiting for your team to come up, do not fear, we will be going through all of them, except for probably D2, which if you want to see Pro D2, let me know in the comments if you want to see those teams gone through as well. But for today, that's the Aviva Premiership. As always, let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know what you think of the players rating, the team's rating. Too high, too low, harsh. What do you think about the Billy LaRues and the likes of the, what was it, Campisi Martfus, with how those ratings go. There's some really dodgy ones in there. Do you give it a pass mark or not? That's the question. I think overall the ratings are pretty close to being good, but there is quite a few howlers in there as well. So overall, if you're going to give them a grade on this, you'd have to say I'd give it a B minus, a B or B minus. Decent, close. A few of them you'd probably adjust a little bit, but overall it's near enough without making it too groundbreaking. Props. Today is your day. If you are an international or a national prop, professional rugby prop, you've probably got a really good rating, despite how good you are, and you could sit here and say, I'm a better player than Villy LaRue. Not many can say that. Not many props can say that. But that is it for today. Hope you've all enjoyed this little look into squads and player ratings. If there's anything else specific you'd like to see on Rugby 18 before the big release date, let me know in the comments below. And as always, thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Until then, take care.